Hi, welcome to Speaking of Animals. Today on Speaking of Animals, we're going to talk a little bit about animal behavior, what an animal behaviorist does, and that's one of the things that I do. And I'm here with Laverne Campbell and with April Lang.
Hello. Well, let's start right away. I've always wondered, what is the difference between an animal behavioralist and a trainer?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure many people don't know.
I don't know.
No,
I'd love to know.
What's the difference?
Well, an animal behaviorist typically has some kind of formal education, okay, in the field. They've studied it very closely, and a trainer may not necessarily have the same amount of information. And what I mean by that is, can they teach a dog how to sit? Well, maybe I know that if I hold a treat over a dog's nose and I pull it up, then the hindquarters are going to go down. But the trainer might not necessarily know the why of that, may not really know the ins and outs of learning theory or have studied the natural behavior of an animal. So there's a lot more of in-depth knowledge that the animal behaviorist has, and hopefully that allows them to be able to apply that to behavior modification. All animal behaviorists can be trainers and should be trainers, but not all trainers are animal behaviorists.
Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. You know, so I'm curious. So many animals are given up at shelters constantly.
Yeah.
And dogs, cats, rabbits. But just looking specifically at cats and dogs, what do you think, or what have you found is the biggest reason that people surrender dogs, people surrender cats?
So it's really sad because behavior problems are the largest reason for owner surrender that are given, and it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. In other words, you'll get a lot of the times people get a puppy and the puppy's so cute and everybody loves them and they're jumping and that's so sweet, right? And then they get older and it's not so great when that Doberman, a German Shepherd, or Lab is jumping on you. It was cute when they were 10 pounds, it's not so cute when they're 50. So these behavior problems become problems not because the dog isn't doing what it's naturally meant to do. Jumping is a greeting behavior for a dog. It's that we haven't taught the dog how to sit instead of jumping when you want to be greeted. So with dogs, the number one problems we see is aggression, which is a big word because people kind of use that very broadly. What I just talked about with the jumping. Someone could say, oh, he's aggressive, he jumped on me. That's, again, not understanding that that's a natural greeting behavior for a dog, okay? So with dogs, it's aggression and then not being trained.
What does that mean?
So in other words, they haven't been taught how to act in a people world. One of the reasons why it's so important to teach a dog not to jump, not to mouth, not to do all these things is because they live with us as human beings and we may not be so welcoming of natural dog behavior. Cats, biggest behavior problem that people bring to a shelter about is going to be inappropriate illumination. Litter box, the whole litter box thing.
Peeing and pooing outside
Peeing
the
and
box.
pooing outside the box. That's huge. And then the other one is going to be aggression. Between cats, typically. And this really, again, as a behaviorist, you could say, well, let's teach people about the right kind of litter box approaches. Keeping the box clean, making sure that you're using the right kind of litter and it's in the right place, not next to a washing machine, not in a closet, not next to their food. A lot of litter boxes the whole marketing is to people, not necessarily for cats. Cats don't want scented litter, we do.
Right.
And even go ahead.
Well, that's really interesting because what I hear you saying is that you're actually working with the owners to teach them why the animal is behaving the way it does versus a trainer that does the mechanics of it. Because a lot of times, I believe, if we understand why an animal is doing something, correct me if I'm wrong, then we can modify that behavior by a large part the way we look at it.
Absolutely. And
if I know that he's jumping on me to say hello, then I'm not automatically going to assume that this dog may bite me.
Right,
You know.
exactly. And also you're understanding the reason behind it from the dog's natural behavior. Trainers, maybe they read someplace or someone told them a dog jumps at you, and I saw this at a picnic over the summer where I see this woman, she has a puppy, the dog jumps, she knees the dog in the chest. I said, what are you doing? She said, well, they taught me that in puppy training class.
Oh.
So I thought, okay, so now somebody taught that trainer to do that and didn't study why this works or why it doesn't work. But the behaviorist, or even if the trainer really wants to learn about this, learn about behavior, would know, okay, instead what I can do is when that dog jumps up, I can kind of turn my body a little bit, and then as soon as the dog's feet, all 4 feet are on the floor, I'm going to turn around and say, hi, how are you? Teaching the dog that when you don't jump is when I'm going to pay attention to you and stroke you and give you that greeting kind of thing. So there's that. So, and then the aggression between cats. Cats are very territorial. We bring home a new kitty, we're like, here's your friend. And the cat's like, who brought this and why? And I don't want it. So knowing that you can do it gradually, keeping them in separate spaces, little by little, you know, knowing that with a cat, their biggest sense is hearing. So first, and they're going to hear the other cat, but the next one is going to smell. So even this technique of knowing that you can pet a cat along the side of a muzzle, and then you pet the other cat in separate rooms in the beginning. There's a whole protocol for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then even combining your scent, because if I touch my one kitty, is my smell. If I know more about what a cat's natural behavior is, where it's going to eliminate and why, then I can kind of try to approximate that in my home with an open litter box, because cats are not going to go into closed spaces.
They don't
where
like
they're
closed litter boxes?
No, they feel vulnerable.
They was just standing. Oh my God!
Because they would feel more vulnerable, right? And especially when it comes to the whole number 2 problem, that aggression between cats. Cats are very territorial. They have their territories. Cats are so tied into the home, much more than dogs. They really are. I mean, they love us, but they love their places even more.
What do you mean they love their places more? Their spots in the home?
Well, they love their spots in the home,
Yeah.
but they also love the home. The cat doesn't really, like, the cat's not really a good candidate for boarding or cat care. It's good to get a pet sitter to come in and take care of them. If you can't do that, and you're going to bring your cat to a facility, for whatever the reason you must go to a boarding facility, obviously find a good one. Number 2, bring your cat's bed. Bring one of those, buy one of those cat igloos, you know, that they can use to hide in. Set that up in your house ahead of time. Put some catnip in there for a couple of weeks so the cat can kind of get attached to that, and bring it. And the good facility will let you put that in the cage. If the facility says, oh no, we can't be responsible, you want to find the one that's going to let you do that. So there are ways that you can work respecting what the cat's nature is for how to make it more comfortable in certain situations.
Oh, I had a question about this. You know, when sometimes people go away and they leave their animals, they leave their animals in the home, right? And they'll say, oh, well, I'm going away for 5 days, but I can leave my cat because I put lots of dry food down and water, and the cat will be fine. And my thought and my belief on this is, you know, anything can happen to a cat.
Sure.
I mean, you could be, and I don't know, maybe some of you out there have had this experience too, but you're out for the day and you come home and the beautiful vase on the top of the cabinet fell down and there's glass all over, and the cat's, you know, you come home and the cat's got bloody paws. So, you know, what do you have to say about that? I mean, is it okay? I mean, generally, do cats are fine being left alone?
Cats,
no.
No. I think the answer to that is no. I think cats are social and they're kind of misunderstood, although that way generally. Although more and more of the science comes out and shows us just how social they really are. They interact with us in a different way than a dog does, and they also don't have as many facial muscles as a dog does, so they're not as expressive. But if you pay attention to whiskers and ears, you'll learn a whole lot in terms of cat language. But leaving them alone, no. You want someone to come in at least once a day and to check on your animals. Having said that, there may be some cats with new people who don't want to interact. So having someone force themselves on the cat, oh, we're going to play. If your cat Rosie is afraid of me, I should leave Rosie alone and just make sure that there's fresh water. Plus, to have a dirty litter box for 5 days, will they use it? Probably, but is it a great thing for their welfare, for their well-being? It's interesting, and it's kind of amazing, again, like knowing about their behavior, that play, hunting is so enjoyable for them. So a lot of this play kind of approximates this kind of hunting behavior, the stalking, chasing kind of thing that they would normally do. Did you know, and I didn't know this until fairly recently, that cats only catch their prey about 20% of the time. And I'm talking about lions, tigers, the big ones. So in order for this to kind of work from like a biological evolution standpoint, it has to be built in to be enjoyable. Dogs like play too. I mean, that's another huge thing. Sometimes when we're talking about training, again, if you've got a trainer that says to you, oh, I can't train this dog because they're retarded, that should be a big, like, flashing red X.
Because they're retarded?
Yes, some of them.
Well, I've heard that. I've definitely heard that.
See, this is what I mean.
Definitely.
That's the difference.
Yeah. Well, you just have a dumb dog, so
No.
you know, some dogs are just dumb.
No,
like, I've heard trainers say that.
Because this means that that person has a limited protocol repertoire of what they do.
Right.
And if it doesn't work, they can't understand what to do next. So they don't understand learning theory, they don't understand the natural behavior. Reason for you to really make sure you're working with someone, if you're gonna pay them, and you wanna do the right thing for your animal, that A is going to do it with positive reinforcement, not because, yes, we know that that's a big buzzword, but P.S. guys, positive reinforcement works better from a science perspective. There's all kinds of studies out there that show you that, yeah, I can punish you to get you to do something. You know, and these trainers call themselves results trainers, but the problem is I have to do it exactly the second you're doing it, and that's a big problem. So if the dog, you know, soils the floor because you didn't get home to walk it, which is not his fault anyway, and you push the dog's nose into the poop, all you're showing that dog is, I'm hurting you, not teaching him anything.
There's no connection.
There's no connection. I'm creating fear, okay? They become afraid of you. And what you've got is you've got all kinds of what you call displacement behaviors. They'll do all kinds of other stuff because of what you've been doing to them. Positive, however, it works really well. I mean, in Italy, they have these dogs that jump out of airplanes, these Newfoundlands, and they save people in the water, okay?
Dogs parachutes?
Well, they don't. They bring the helicopters low enough down so the dog can just jump. They do water rescues.
Oh, okay.
Only positive. They never force the dog out of the plane, the helicopter rather. They only train them with positive methods. Why? Because you get a more reliable dog. You get a dog that is better trained. You get a dog that's a happier dog. We do all kinds of tests with testing the stress level of their hormones. You can with cortisol. This is a stress hormone, it's non-invasive, you can just test saliva, and you see that dogs that are trained with negative, they have higher stress.
Makes sense.
They look at the handlers, you can see what they're doing, they're lip licking, they're looking away, you know, their tail is tucked, all signs
They're
of
afraid
stress.
for the next time they're going to be hurt.
Exactly.
That's all they've
exactly.
learned. Yeah.
Just like with people, negative reinforcement
Thank you.
does not work. And I really feel that it also stops the dog from reasoning outside of the box.
Wonderful.
You don't have an intelligent dog when you use this punishment theory. You have a dog that will just
shut down.
Yeah, either they shut down or they can't discern, very good word, discern, the difference between when I should, let's say, bite someone or not.
You're right.
So I just bite everybody.
So
you know,
this is so it really is. Instead of punishing them for what you don't want them to do, teach them what you do want them to do and reward that. And you cannot learn. You can't learn if you are afraid. It interferes. So it's two
with
things.
people.
Absolutely
When we are
true.
when we are
Yes,
overwhelmed.
that's learning theory.
That is, we don't.
Yeah.
We are our nervous systems are overwhelmed. We cannot take in anything.
Yes.
exactly.
Yes, and so these are all the good reasons for why we do this. And it's not about, just, you know, giving a treat. If anything, actually, intermittent treating is the best kind. So if I reward, and you can always, and you should always acknowledge something with praise, good dog, thank you, kind of a thing. But if I give a treat for every third or fourth, or make it infrequent, then you get the highest, what they call an intermittent reinforcement schedule. You get the highest success rate. People, so in other words, like we get paid every week. The theory then would be that we should get paid like every other week. If you never know when it's coming, you're always going to perform better.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yes.
Okay. I wonder if you could kind of work with some cats or dogs for us today and give us some examples of the things that you do.
It's changing behavior. For cats, it's interactive play. And for dogs, it's working with treats with off and take it. So I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like with cats. Remember that people are like, oh, my cat has toys. I give him toys, he's got plenty of toys. My cat has toys. But when your cat directs the toys when they're playing with them, when you are the one playing with the cat, it's unpredictable, it's interactive, it's more engaging, and I'm going to show you what this looks like, drawing the toy away from or across from the cat's line of vision, like a mouse would do.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's different than with a dog?
Well, different kinds of play with the dog, right? Way different kinds of play. And dogs with play, what's great to do is you've got a dog that's really mouthy, right? Especially these guys, 5-month-old puppy, new teeth are coming in, oh, they just want to chomp on anything, right? So giving them, you know, tug of war, which is perfectly fine to play with your dog, tug of war, it really is, and they can win. It doesn't mean the same thing to them as it does to us, guys. So giving that chew toy, putting it in their mouth and playing with them, throwing a ball. They have different things that they like to do, you know, finding which toys. Cat may not be such a big fan of squeaky toys, but a dog, they love them. So I don't know if you know this, but cats are extremely short-sighted. So really where he's finding that treat is through scent and with his whiskers. So sometimes when they'll give you like a little nibble with their mouths, it's because they can't see. And your hand smells obviously much more food motivated than he's play motivated.
We can say that.
Yes. But so with him, what I could, you know, you can train a cat. I could even play with him, or I can teach him training. So I'm going to get him to sit.
Really?
Good
Train
sit.
cats?
So we just got him to sit. Now what if I want him to stand? Good stand.
Wow.
Sit. And again, it's the same principle. Stand. I'm going to hold that treat over his nose, just like this. His hindquarters are going to go down. Good sit. And as soon as he does it, mark it. People like these clickers. They'll talk about clicker training.
I've heard about the clickers.
But it just gives you something else to do with your hand. But if I can get him to do it at that exact moment, and I can say, sit. Good sit. He did it without a treat. That's amazing.
Oh.
Cat training in seconds. So Mo said. So again, now look, that's food as a lure. That's body mechanics. Good sit. If the big mistake people make with that sit is they pull it over the animal's head, and then what happens is I'm kind of making them go up. See that?
Yeah.
So, but if I do it like this, stand, good stand, Mo sit, good sit.
And I see the nibbling at your fingers. That's great. It's affectionate.
It's fine. He can't see that far up close, and what I can kind of do is, it's also the way I'm holding. He's also not biting very hard. He's kind of bite inhibition. He's holding back the force when he's doing that.
Yes.
Stand. So now even without a treat, sit.
Oh,
He's going to follow.
Oh.
Mo, stand.
Wow.
Stand.
That is so impressive.
Yes. See that?
Yeah. That is so cool, Fanya.
Good stand. Sit. Good
Nice.
sit.
Wow. Good boy, Mo.
Wow,
See,
in
very nice.
seconds, just the behavior.
Just like this. So even if with Mo, he's not as crazy with the playing with the fishing wand toy. He did react very well to some training, and that's interactive too. That's something for him to do. The only thing is you don't want it to be too boring, so you kind of don't want to answer something more than 3 or 5 times in a row, because they stop listening to you and it gets boring. And mix it up a little bit. But I could do this with him in the morning and the night.
He's staying. Mo is one that's all over the place, but he's staying with you.
It helps with focus. It helps them with impulse control.
Right.
It's a great thing to do with an animal that's fearful, because it really kind of gives them structure. It's a great, great, great exercise. So either playing with them, or if you have a cat like Mo, training with some food treats.
Well, that's a good point, though, that, you know, for everyone to know that each animal is unique. Each animal is
Absolutely.
different, and so some like to, you know, are motivated by food, some by play, some, I'm sure, by different kinds of play, different kind of toys. Like my dog was never interested in the squishy, furry, cuddly toys. So for people to know that and not expect that, you know, well, my dog doesn't like that, there's something wrong with my dog. It's like, they're all different.
And this is another, that's a great point to also understand with someone that you're working with, is they should know that.
Yes.
They should know that I can try a different motivation, I have to try
Yes.
a different approach, not your animal's retarded.
Right.
So this is Tess. I've never worked with her before, but with the dog, the biggest thing you can do is hand feeding them. And this is going to be great for these guys for impulse control, for paying attention, for rules and structure. But remember, you have to do it with love. So look, Tess, can you sit? Good girl, good sit. Off. Good off. Good girl, good off. Take it. Off.
So alert.
Good off. Good girl, good off. Take it. So I would do her morning food, especially if she gets kibble, the whole bowl, just like this.
Wait, why are you hand feeding?
I'm hand feeding her.
In terms for training, or just
It's
say
for
that's how
behavior
dogs
and
should be fed?
training. Well, it's a great way to interact with them, but if Tess had any kinds of issues with reactivity or
Right.
fear or resource guarding, this is perfect for that kind of thing. Resources could be their food, their toys, you, right? Tess, can you, good girl. Off. Good girl, good off. Good off. Take it. She's never done this before, but you can see that she's getting it right away.
Yeah, she's very attentive.
Because she's food motivated, so that's what that.
Are any dogs not?
Well, some of them are more play motivated than
Oh, kinda
food
like the cats.
motivated.
Yep.
Test it. Off. Good off. Good off. Good off. Okay. Good off. Take it. So the whole entire meal, feed her this way. And notice how she's paying attention. Off. Good off.
What are you saying, off?
Good off. I'm also teaching her off. Good off, Tess. Good girl, good off. Take. So this off is also going to be a command that you can use whether it's something you don't want her to touch in the street, whether it's
like
another
off.
dog. And the great thing about off and take it is I'm reinforcing it one with the other. Which I'm giving her a treat, which really gets her makes it for a very strong off. Tess, come on. Off. Good off. Take it.
Yeah.